What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the Hook One Pod. Hey, we're here in the studio. We're on somewhat of a regular schedule here, and we've got another really cool episode. So if you didn't notice last episode, we actually did a Facebook Live, which was super cool, so we could get a little bit of interaction with you guys that are listening. So if you ever want to be a part of these Facebook Lives, head over to our Facebook, Hook One Bait and Tackle, right there on Facebook, and we've got all the information there for you when we do them. We're going to try and do them weekly, and then obviously as we get close to the holidays, it'll be pretty tough. But we've got another awesome show for you guys today. We've got a familiar friend of the show. Aaron's been on here twice now. We did a solo episode with him, and we did an event with him at the Bassmaster Elite Series event here on Lake St. Clair. Well, it's really funny how this stuff comes full circle because now we're doing an event with him, and it's his first season going into it. The Bassmaster Elite Series. So he is a Bassmaster Elite Series pro. He qualified through the Bassmaster Opens, went up to the Bassmaster EQs, and boom, here he is now. He is a Bassmaster Elite Series pro. It's been a crazy couple weeks for him, so I really appreciate him sitting down here and talking with us on this episode. Guys, again, we can't do this without all the support. Christmas is coming up. Please support the people that are supporting us and shop our sponsors. We've got the discount code right here. And so you can shop any of our sponsors. Whitewater, obviously, giving you guys the best deal of them all. Throwing you guys I think it's 25% off your order if you use that code there. You can also use the code for Great Lakes Angler Co. to give your coffee lover in your life a really good gift. And if that's not enough, then you can head over to Papa's Pilar and save some money there as well. So I really want to get into the show. We're going to get into the show right now. So if you hear us acting or reacting to comments, talking to people, that's why we're on Facebook Live, and then this gets uploaded afterwards. So please sit back, relax. If you're in the car, if you're on YouTube, this is going to be an awesome episode, and we can't wait to get Aaron on the pod. All right, let's get into it. Got an awesome guest with you guys. We're going to dive right into it here. We've got our man, dude. We got our guy, Aaron Jagdfeld, the new Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. What is up, brother?
How's it going, bro? Appreciate you having me on.
We talked a little bit pre-show. I'm freezing in the garage. Good thing I got this Beacon hoodie here. I can kind of, if I have to, I can warm up a little bit. No, but it's all good, man. It is great to have you on the show. What's going on, dude?
Man, just been hanging out, trying to get everything ready for next year. I appreciate you having me on, dude.
Pumped to be back on the show. I don't know if hanging out's the right thing. It's got to be absolute chaos since that last tournament.
Yeah, man, it has been, talking on the phone and, talking to all my buddies and stuff like that, just trying to get everything rolling for next season. And it's been fun. So I'm looking forward to it. And everything's a little rushed just because of how fast the turnaround is, going from middle of November to basically got to have the boat ready by middle of January to head south to Gunnersville for the first tournament. So it's been a little bit of chaos, but controlled chaos. So I'm doing as much as I can to get everything in line.
Yeah, dude, and it's like you said, it's gonna happen quick. The way that it all goes, and we're gonna kind of get into it. But the way that you got to qualify into this thing is it takes a while. It's obviously not easy to become a Bassmaster Elite Series pro. So it takes a while to kind of build into that. So you've worked your way up, and now by the time it's all said and done, it's like, yeah, I want to celebrate a little bit because like I finally like reached my goal, but at the same time, like we got to get moving. We got to start getting deals. We got to start getting, money flowing. We got to get a boat ordered. You got a boat on the way. So I'm excited to dive into all that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Jerry says he sees vapor. Jerry, I got my ice fishing heater right here, man. So you're seeing, I'm staying warm, but I got to be out in the garage. So it's all good. So Aaron, let's start from the very bottom because something that I see more and more now, and I'm sure you see it as well, is like, how do I get into competitive fishing? And it seems like now I don't want to say it's easier than it's ever been, but there's a lot more options than it's ever been. And you took a really unique route. Like you didn't just have a boat at your disposal. So like, how did this kind of all start? And then we'll kind of jump into your college journey.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's, like you said, there's so many different avenues into tournament fishing now, whether it's kayak fishing, bank fishing, boat fishing, like it doesn't matter. There's so many ways to get started into it. And yeah, so it kind of started off with me, growing up. I loved fishing, grew up fishing on Burton Mullet Lake. Not a ton of bass fishing, did a lot of walleye stuff, fly fished a bunch with my dad up there and around the house here, where I live, we're up by the Clinton River Dam where the steel had run up in the fall and stuff like that. And so we used to do that growing up. And yeah, so then once I got into middle school, I kind of, really got hooked on bass fishing. And I was riding my bike, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles to any ponds in the Rochester area that I could get to. And, I really started following. That's when the YouTube scene started to come on pretty heavy. And a lot of guys were posting, whether it was tournament videos or just that's like when John B was starting to get rolling. And when I was, I don't know, probably 12 or 13. So I really got into watching that kind of stuff. And yeah, I got hooked on it definitely and got obsessed. So I was fishing every day in the summer. My senior year of high school, I quit playing a sport that I was playing just to bass fish because I'd never gotten to fish in the spring, fish the spawn and stuff like that. So I stopped playing lacrosse just so I could fish. But yeah, no. So in high school, I didn't really have access to a bass boat. So I was thinking of different options, and that's when the kayak scene was really starting to come on, and I was watching guys on YouTube and stuff like that do it. And I ended up getting my first kayak and started fishing kayak tournaments sophomore year of high school. And I didn't really know where it was going to go. All I knew is I wanted to compete. And after the first tournament, I was like, dude, this is what I want to do. Like, this is so much fun. Combining fishing and the competitive aspect of it is so much fun. So I went all through high school fishing out of a kayak. Ended up my senior year summer, like right after I graduated, won enough money in some kayak tournaments. I was able to buy my first bass boat, which was a 2001 Champion 187 with a 150 Merc EFI on it, old two-stroke, and that thing was awesome. That thing was a tank. Never left me stranded. So yeah, no, had a ton of fun kayak fishing, and I'd like to get back into it at some point. So because there's a lot of things you can do in a kayak that you can't do in a boat. So.
For sure. And it's really cool. So I listened to that Mercer podcast that you jumped on, and I do want to touch on that real quick. So for those of you that are listening, guys, if you got any questions, any comments, I've got the comments pulled up. So if you got any questions, you want to know anything or whatever, this is the whole reason we do these lives is so we can chat with you guys. So please drop them below in the comments. We'll be happy to answer them. But Aaron, something really interesting that I picked up from you on the Mercer podcast, the way kayak fishing shaped you as a boat angler. Like, I can't always be run and gun. So let me figure this out. Like, I know it's here. Let me figure this out.
Yeah, 100%. That's something, like I said on there, that I still use to this day. Like, in a kayak, you pick a boat ramp and you go there and you got, this is before like all the motors and everything on them. So I just I ended up having a Hobie. So I just had my foot pedals and, you got a mile or 2 mile section that you're going to fish all day. And whether, you made that decision to fish there in the tournament and, you can't really pull out and go anywhere. So you got to figure out how to catch them in that area and break down that section of the lake that you decided to fish. So, there's a lot of times in tournament fishing that, especially in practice, I'll start running around, if I'm not like getting any hints or anything like that. And then I go back and remember, like, man, I used to just pick small sections of lakes and, figure out that section versus trying to figure out the whole lake. So I still do that to this day in tournaments and think about it. And I'm like, man, let's just break this down and not overcomplicate this and stay in this little section and do it like I used to in a kayak. So,
Yep. That's awesome, dude. And it's like Greg's great advice because I think a lot of tournament guys, you get so antsy. Are they biting over there? Are they biting over there?
Right.
And you're so worried about moving around. And it's like, no, I know they're here, right? Like, you've been practicing for a reason. And you got to trust yourself. So then after kayak and after high school, you decided to go to Adrian College. It's funny because when I was going to go to Adrian, I was going to go play some football there, but I really wanted to fish. Like, I thought the fishing team was so cool, and they were just kind of getting started. They only had 2 boats, and they were just getting started. And like, it only took them probably 2-3 years to be like on a national level, like seriously competing. And you got to be a part of some of those serious events. I mean, I remember watching when you were coming up through that high school team championship for a crack at the classic. Like, you've been flirting with this for a while, but what was like college fishing like for you?
It was awesome. Honestly, I credit most of my success to college fishing. The platform that Bassmaster has set up and, the group of guys that I was around in college was incredible. I always say that, you got to be a sponge. That's what Coach Seth Borton told me, like, the first day I stepped foot on campus is if you want to get better, you got to soak it all in and learn from everybody else. So I really did take that to heart, and I spent as much time in the boat with as many different guys that I went to college with. There's a big diversity, whether it was from Indiana fishing those little reservoirs down there, or you get in a boat. The best, he's from Wisconsin, best frog fisherman I've ever fished with. The guy from the Ohio River, he can flip a jig like nobody else can. So, got to see all of it firsthand and learn and ask questions going through college. And, it did take me a while to to get on my feet in college. My first couple of years, I got my butt kicked. I was finishing the hundreds every tournament, and just have to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. But ended up just kept grinding, doing the same thing, and trying to get better every day. And yeah, it was a blast. Get the dog running around.
No, I think a bunch of baits just fell off the counter. I think they were stoked about the conversation.
Yeah.
No, dude, seriously, that I think that's huge. And the connections that you got to make through that were obviously super cool. But that's the best thing about this sport in general. And whether you're college fishing, whether you're professional fishing. I mean, dude, when the Elite Series was here on St. Clair, we got to hang out and have a cookout with some of them guys. And it was it's super cool to be able to connect with these guys and learn. And as much as it's a competition sport, it's also because you're competing, correct? When you're college angling, are you competing against your team as well as you're on a team?
Yep. Yeah. So if they send 10 teams to the tournament, you just have you and your partner, and then you're competing against those 9 other teams that are there too. So
yeah. So it's you guys are working together, but at the same time you're working against each other. But there's a lot of learning that's going on. And that for a lot of people, like you said, that's the way to do it. And we like the underdog story, dude. Here at Hook One, we love to grind. It's not easy. And I hate YouTube and social media culture has kind of ruined that because you just see a highlight of everything. We did this good in a tournament. I'm not going to go on there. And some guys do. But credit, they're very transparent. But not all the time you're going to go on there and be like, oh man, we finished 100th. No, you finish 100, you're going to take your medicine, you're going to go back and you're going to figure it out, right? But then when you get one of those big trophies that's sitting over your left shoulder, there it is. That's what you're going to see on social media and stuff. So social media can kind of skew it for these younger guys.
For sure.
And so to be able to grind through that. And like I said, I mean, you were in the team championship, you were flirting with the classic. You flirted with the classic with that trophy that's right over your shoulder, and then Jay swooped in. You know what I mean? And he had an incredible tournament on Lake St. Clair. And then now even in the EQ series, we're gonna get into how you qualified, but dude, that EQ series, you had to be sweating after day one.
Dude, yeah, I was sick to my stomach after I weighed in and that whole
I was
boat
sick
on the trailer, and yeah, dude,
I was like, he can get it. I'm sitting there, and I don't know it as much. I'm very new to the bass scene within the last few years, but I'm sitting there doing the math, figuring it all out. And I'm like, all right, he's he's still in really good shape. We just got to do it.
Exactly. I was sick. It was a tough night, but yeah.
Bryce Kostman says Aaron took a lot of our money in weeknight leagues.
Yeah, Bryce went to Adrian for a few years. He's one of those Wisconsin boys, Mississippi River Hammer. So
there you go.
Yeah,
there you go, man. Yeah, so it is really cool. All the people you get to meet and fish against. Explain to these guys that are watching and listening, and then when we get this on YouTube to our podcast, explain to them the road that it takes to become a Bassmaster Elite Series pro. Because there's not just one step, there's not just two steps. It's a ladder.
Yeah, definitely. That's a pretty loaded question because you can start from the bottom and work all the way to the top with it. But honestly, my biggest thing for me is just never giving up. Polnick said it the best. He said, it's something that you literally can't live without. That's how you're gonna make it work. Is no matter whether you get your butt kicked, and I finished 197th at Kentucky in the Open this year. No matter what, you just got to keep getting back up on your feet and keep grinding. And I mean, there's so many good anglers now. It is so hard to stay on top of everything and fish clean at every tournament, and especially to make it to the Elite Series, have seven good tournaments in a row. Basically, it's extremely hard. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. Time off the water, like I said, in college fishing was everything for me. Whether it was fishing with other guys, and any extra time I had, I spent on the water between work and class. Any extra time, I was on one of those lakes within 20 minutes of Adrian, or I was out there side scanning on Lake Erie. So it was a lot of hours on the boat, and a lot of YouTube videos too. That's about all I watch. I don't really watch movies or TV much. It's basically just all fishing YouTube videos and Detroit sports, Lions and Red Wings mainly. Yep.
God, we're going through it, dude. We had a
I know.
We had a bad stretch there. We had it real good. Everybody was winning, and then the Lions lose, the Red Wings start losing, Pistons drop 2 in a row. But hopefully we're working back. Wings got to win.
Exactly.
Pistons got to win.
Yeah.
Lions will see what happens.
So. Yeah. Lions got a tough schedule.
So the route that you took specifically was you grinded through the Bassmaster Opens, which anybody can get into.
Yep.
And then you qualified for the EQ series, which is the Elite Qualifier series. And through the EQ series, it's a 3-tournament schedule that you have to, finish top 10 in points, from what I
Yep.
understand. And the
Yep.
top 10 are in.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, how it works is, uh, you have the two divisions with the Open starting off. You have Division One and Two. They're keeping the same format for next year too. So you have one and two divisions, and then they cap out at 225 boats for each division. You fish 4 tournaments, and then the top 50 from each division qualify for the EQs. So this year, I think we ended up with 96 guys in the EQs, just because a couple guys double qualified. They fished both divisions, and
Okay.
then the points fully reset once you get to the EQs. So we had 96 guys, and then after those 3 tournaments, it was the top 10 in points that um, made it.
So
So
that'll qualify you for the tour. Now, if you win
yep,
any of those events, that'll qualify you for the classic, correct?
yes, yep,
Which
yeah.
is
If you
nuts.
win, yeah, if you win one of them, you go straight to the classic. Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is nuts.
Yep.
And you mentioned like how good some of these hammers are, and like, dude, the
Hmm.
kids now, especially with like Facebook and TikTok and all that, like the kids are such sticks coming
Yeah,
out. It's
yeah, it's
like
crazy.
incredible. And I am super excited for Kurt, one of our good friends from the shop, has a question. It's
Hmm.
a loaded question, so I'm not going to set you up. But he
Okay.
says, "What's your opinion on bass banning forward-facing sonar at certain tournaments?" What I'm going to say is,
Yeah.
what I'm going to say is, I'm very excited to see how these young guys fish, because
Hmm.
either an opinion either way is going to get you killed. But I
Yep.
do think it's going to be good to see like how true, because I think these guys are true anglers. So like,
I think so too.
and I can't
Yeah.
get into it right now. Again, I don't want to get killed in my comments either. But
Yeah.
like, it's obviously you've spent enough time on the water. Anyone that follows you on social media, if you follow the scrolling line on the bottom of the screen, guys, you'll actually see his Instagram handle. You can follow along on his journey here. But you spend a ton of time on the water, and you can't
Hmm.
replace that. In live scope, it is just another tool in the toolbox, right? Like live scope doesn't make him bite. Live scope doesn't make him jump in the live well. Live scope doesn't make him 5 pounds.
Hmm.
So are you excited to do the on and off and just see kind of where it goes? Because I don't think you're not an angler that relies on it. So it'll be interesting.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I'm super excited for it, and honestly, I love live scope and I love fishing without it. Like I think it's so much fun to go out in the middle of St. Clair and catch 5 pound smallmouth, just as much as I like going up and fishing the flats in the river and catching 4 and 5 pound smallmouth. Like it's just as fun to me. So
Yeah.
that's what the biggest example is Gunnersville. Like Gunnersville, if we had scope, it would be 100% live scope tournament, and that's what you need to compete. But now we're going without it, and the weights are going to be they won't be as big, but they're still going to be big weights, and it's going to be just as much fun to me because I'm be doing what I used to do growing up, throwing a chatterbait in a trap in grass, and it's going to be fun. So I'm looking forward to it for the mix up, because I like fishing with it and without it. So whether we have it or not, I'm going to keep bass fishing because I just love bass fishing. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm
Do
using it or not.
And that's what I don't think a lot of people realize is like at the end of the day, like we fell in love with fishing. So like we
Yep.
love the tournament scene, or like you love the guide scene, or you love
Hmm.
whatever you do in fishing, we end up loving. But like at the end of the day, we love fishing. And I
Hmm.
catch myself so many times like I love going out there and live scoping. I like scoping in the river. I love scoping on St. Clair. I love chasing walleye, especially suspended. What
Hmm.
live scope has done to me is taught me like what I thought about a lot of fish and what we've been told about a lot of fish is wrong. Like,
Hmm.
bro, you
Yep.
can go out to Lake St. Clair and go out over a weed bed and catch as many 10 and 15-pound catfish as you want that are
Yep.
roaming suspended over the weeds swimming. And
Hmm.
we've always been taught they just sit in the mud and eat whatever swims by.
Hmm.
Walleye, same thing. Like they're just gravel lizards. They sit on rocks and they
Yep.
eat. No, dude, these things are off the bottom. They're moving all over the place. So like live scope has taught me a lot more about fish, but I absolutely love turning that screen off, looking at my surroundings and just fishing,
Hmm.
dude, and just
Yep.
doing what I know and doing what I enjoy.
Hmm.
And I am really excited to see that come through in the Elite Series, because at the end of the day, dude, I think like a fisherman's going to be a fisherman, and I'm excited for the results to show that.
For sure, 100%. I'm with you on that. And I really do think that live scope, learning it and understanding it, can honestly make you a better fisherman without it, because you can see
Oh,
what those fish are doing on scope, see how they're setting up. So even if you don't have it and you're good with it and you know how those fish are reacting and stuff like that, do think it does give you an advantage even if you don't have it. So I just think it's
oh,
like you said, it's a tool to learn, and you can it changes the learning curve. It makes it a lot shorter, but yeah, no, if anything, it's just taught me
It's
more
easier to
about how
find.
to fish without it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
at the end of
Yeah.
the day, dude, it's easier to find them, but it's like anything else, you know what I mean? It's still
Mhm,
not gonna guarantee you anything. And it's like you guys spend so much time on the water. Any
mhm.
of you guys that are listening and watching, like if you follow along any of these uh professional fishermen, how's that sound? You got a good ring to it?
Crazy. Yeah, it is cool.
If
Still
you
doesn't feel
follow
real.
I'm telling you, bro, if you follow any of these professional fishermen, like it's incredible how much time they spend on the water. Like I guide and I've got the bait shop and y'all make me look like chumps. Like you put the hours on your motor in half a
Mhm,
season and it is true. Like you're gonna do what you're gonna do. And Joe DiGiovanni's in here and he's
mhm,
got a great point. I totally rely on side scan.
mhm.
Absolutely, dude. Like
Yep.
that's side scan now is such an underrated tool, I think, in guys' toolboxes because it's just live scope,
Yep.
live scope, live scopes, live scope.
Mhm,
And it's like, I don't know. To me, it was just a bigger learning tool. Like, how are these fish? I'm gonna put it in walleye terms here, but
mhm.
like I'm watching these fish swim up to my jig, look at it, and swim down. Something's wrong. The
Yep.
stinger's hung up, the bait's not right, the color's not right, something's wrong. And then all of a sudden you rig it up right, drop it down. And I know it's the same thing with smallies. You might throw, a jig and a plastic at it and they don't want it. You might throw a crank at them, they don't want it. Next thing you know, you throw a spy bait there, you count it down, and bam, it's like, all right, this thing's in my hand the rest of the day because that's what they're feeding on.
Yeah, 100%. And to say something about side scan, that's honestly my favorite part of
Yes.
electronics to use. I love going to a new lake and scanning the whole lake before I even make a cast, like just to see what's out there. And you can find so many things versus people just putting the trolling motor in the water and going. Like I absolutely love sitting behind the wheel and looking at side scan, looking for that one little gem to unlock the lake before you even make a cast. So
100. And when you like talk to those guys, like we were sitting in the booth and we were sitting in the whitewater booth for the Bassmaster Elite Series, and Wesley Gore
mhm,
was sitting in there on that Sunday. And I was just chatting with Wesley, and I was like, dude, how do you even go about breaking down? Like, you guys, you now especially, but like those guys cover so many different bodies of water all
mhm,
over the country, different bodies of water, flooded timber, deep reservoirs, small lakes, like they're fishing all over the place. And I'm like, dude, how do you go about? And he never once said, I just jump on my trolling motor and go around. Like
mhm.
he spends 2 days
Yep.
scanning, and he found some crazy stuff on Lake St. Clair that I didn't know about. And we're sitting there
Mhm,
talking about it, and he's like, yeah, do you know about this thing? And I'm like, no. He's like, I just
mhm.
found it one day. I was just out there scanning and I just found it.
Yep.
Um, and it's like 100% scanning, 2D, and then like knowing and reading your charts, understanding where contours are and points and
Mhm.
breaks and stuff like that, I
Yep.
think is huge. And it's like, that's why the live scope thing is frustrating to me, is because I think it's just kind of like a catch all. Like, oh, they got forward facing sonar. And it's like,
Mhm.
dude, there's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. I mean, you nailed it on the head. There's so much more that goes into it than just forward-facing sonar. Like, that's yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But
Alec Winfrey says, let me pull it up. And I'm with you, Alec. He says Aaron for rookie of the year. So no pressure, Aaron. You are going to
appreciate it.
be on my fantasy team. No
Yeah.
pressure. No pressure. Um, but yeah, it's so like what is this process like now? What is gearing up like? So you legitimately have a tournament in 2.5 months.
Yep. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm trying to get it's crazy, like, everything's moving so quick, and like I said, I was literally on the phone on the way home trying to start to figure things out with the boat situation, everything like that, and just trying to get everything ready to roll, and, I'm working with a good group of sponsors next year, so I'm really looking forward to it, but, yeah, it's been controlled chaos so far, so, but, yeah, everything's on time, so boat will be here, I'll be able to break it in, down south, and then be able to get things rolling at Gunnersville, so, yeah.
Yeah, so a new boat's on the way.
Yep.
We got you said a Phoenix on the way. Does
Phoenix
that
with a
stress you
Yamaha.
out at all?
The new boat being on the way?
Waiting for a new boat.
Yeah, it does a little bit just because, I want to have enough time to get it in and not only get it rigged, but everything's a little different with the electronics. So I'm going to run a different setup next year. And, I'd like to get on the water for a couple weeks and get comfortable with it and get everything dialed in. So I just don't know if I'm going to have that couple weeks to really dial everything in and get the new Yamaha broke in. So it might be something where I get it wrapped, and then we're down to Gunnersville the next day. So
There ain't
hoping I
nothing
get a
wrong with that.
couple days though. No.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. So who's some companies that you're working with? Give them a shameless plug. You might as well. I mean,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a whole like 300 people that see this on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, so obviously staying with Whitewater, great group of people over there. We both know they're
Who's
awesome
that?
people. Bringing on Strike King and Lose next year, another great company, bunch of great guys over there that I'm working with. So looking forward to that. And Powerhouse Lithium, so gonna be running Powerhouse batteries again next year. Was running them all this year, and looking forward to it. And then got a couple other companies in the works, and so that stuff will be locked down here in the next couple of weeks. So
How do you like running those Powerhouse Lithiums?
they're awesome, dude.
That's
They're
what I got in
amazing.
my boat, dude, and I
Hmm.
absolutely love them.
Hmm.
I can sit on my trolling motor all day.
Yep.
And, like,
Yep.
if I'm guiding, I can run, like, a half-day trip, and, like, there's been times where I forget to plug my motor in just because it's like, I'm guiding, I gotta come in, I gotta clean their fish, I pack their fish, take them out. Next thing I
Hmm.
know, I gotta run into the shop, and then before you know it, I'm an idiot and forget to plug my boat in. You can check the
Right.
app, or you just
Hmm.
roll in there and check the Powerhouse battery, and it's like, "Oh, I've only used 20%, and I just fished for 5 hours." I just vertical
Exactly.
jig for 5 hours in the current.
Yep. Yeah, and one of my favorite features about them too is they make the run and gun system, so it hooks up
Mhm.
to your battery. So I had one on my last boat at my 16 volt, my 36 volt, so my graph battery and my troll motor battery. So anytime my big motor was cranked over, those batteries were charging. So I'd
That run
fish.
and gun is huge, dude.
It is, dude. I would fish the BFLs, run all the way up to St. Clair, use forward facing sonar on the trolling motor on 10 all like for 6 hours, right? Probably drain the batteries down to 30-40% usually. And then by the time I ran from St. Clair back to Elizabeth Park down there, they were almost at 100% charged. So
Okay.
it's pretty
Okay.
incredible how those things work. Yeah.
Um, Joe's got a question. He wants to know, who's your boat sponsor? Are you working with Phoenix, or are you just
Yeah.
running a Phoenix?
Yeah. I'm working with Phoenix next year. So I'm
There
excited
you
to
go.
stay. My opinion, staying in the best bass boat. And, I fish a lot of big water, and that Phoenix is incredible in big water. So I'm looking forward to running it next year.
You know, I never really thought about that in the bass industry. Uh, Mitch Straffen has a question
What's up,
that's pretty
Mitch?
hilarious. You want me to pull it up on the screen?
Yeah, go for it. Let's see. I was just talking with him on the phone. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm known for this one a little bit around Adrian. I always just say when I gotta go, I go. I'm not waiting. So.
My technique is to tie off the cleat and then hold on to the rope as you hang off, but that's
Yep.
up to anybody. I mean, there's buckets, you can do whatever you need to do. Life
Hmm.
comes at you fast, because we
It
got,
does.
that was a big topic here in the comments, Aaron. We got Mitch, we got Sam Shoemaker, and we got Derek Rodriguez, all knowing, like, what is the key, not to smallmouth or largemouth bass
No.
fishing, but how to have some
Yeah.
comfort while you're fishing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I found the best way. I've tried a bunch of different ways, and I'd say I'm a master at this now. You put the throttle down, and you hang over the side of the boat. One
Whoa,
hand on the steering wheel, one hand on the back of the seat, and it's like you're just sitting down.
that you're with your life jacket.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta have a life jacket on. Don't want to
Back
fall
to the other
backwards.
stuff. I
Yeah.
was super blown away going back to Wesley. I was super blown away checking out his um checking out his boat and his setup, in that it's a Blazer, I believe.
Okay.
I never thought about, cuz all the guys that obviously come from down south aren't
Hmm.
fishing as big of water. So I've never
Hmm.
thought about when they bring their boats up that are super fast, rippers, like efficient boats, but then when they come up on big water, they don't handle it as well. That had to be like a major decision in
Yeah.
choosing your boat, obviously, up here.
Yeah, 100%. That was the driving factor for it. I fish obviously 30 minutes from St. Clair, spend a ton of time out there, spend a ton of time in Erie, and fish a lot of tournaments out there. So I want to be in a boat that's not going to break my back, and I can make a 50-mile run in 3 and 4 foot waves, and I know that I'm going to get there in one piece and make it back. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've ran a 721 Phoenix for the last 4 years, and I was in a champion before that. So all great rough water boats. And definitely did not want to leave a Phoenix. I've been in a bunch of other bass boats, and in my opinion, it's definitely the best rough water
And what
riding bass
motor?
boat.
Ben wants to know what motor you're running on the back of that.
250 show next year, going with the Yamaha.
The Yamis.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm
Have you
super
ever
pumped
ran
to
it?
be
Is
running
that
'em.
what you had before?
Nope, had Mercury before, so looking forward to running Yamaha next year. Yeah, there she is.
There she is. There's a
Yeah,
boat for you guys.
looking
But
good.
yeah, dude, that Yami, I love that show. I'm telling you, I shouldn't even say it out loud because I know I'm going to run into issues, but I have not had any issues in that show. Mine's at 250. When I got the Skeeter, that's all I could put on it. Now I could put a 300 on it. You guys,
Mhm.
for those of the listeners that don't know, for my walleye guys that are tuned in, you can only run a 250, correct?
Yeah, 250 is the max horsepower. So,
Yeah.
yep.
So that'll be super exciting. And then you've got so what's you said Gunnersville's first?
Yep, we're going to Gunnersville the first week of February, and then as soon as that's over, we're going to Lake Martin in
Is it
Alabama.
back to back weeks?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Nice.
It's either
I
back
always
to back
like that
weeks or
because it
one
gives
week
me
off.
something to do in the shop. We always throw up the
Right.
events on the TV, and I'm like,
Yeah.
sweet, gives me something to do while I'm sitting there, especially
Yeah.
early in the season when it's still
Oh.
slow. I mean, those February events are like, I mean, we're
Mhm.
just trying to get through the rest of ice fishing. I'm
Yeah.
not an ice fisherman. Guys, I know a lot of you in the chat are probably geeked up. Please be careful. I know some of you guys are going to be out this weekend. No ice is safe ice. Don't let me preach at you like your mom would. But I can already tell you, I guarantee people are going to be out this weekend. So I'm going to be super jealous when you head south for that swing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not much of an ice fisherman either. I sit
Oh, I
around and wait
love
for it
this
to melt.
question. No, I love this question though from
Yeah.
Joe. And I've got something on it, but I want to hear your take first.
Yeah. This is a really good question and something
So
that
I'll read it out loud because that way if it doesn't pop up on the podcast. But have you noticed a change on the Canadian side of Lake St. Clair? Seems like the fish have moved. So what you got?
Mhm. Did it say that there was something with the grass? Stonewort, or what does that say? St. Clair
Storywort seems to have
Storywort,
moved the
something
fish.
fish. Yep, yeah. So that's invasive grass, I believe, is what he's talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know I 100% have seen a change from it. Going back to when the water was super high back in what was that 2019?
Yep.
Yeah, like 19 to 21, the water was super high, and a lot of that Canadian water was like 20 to 21 and a half foot deep,
Mhm.
and most of it was just a hard sand bottom with a little bit of that perch grass that kind of is scattered around there, and then you get the cabbage and stuff like that. And I've noticed it, the star stonework coming big time right off the channel on the Canadian side. Like you go over there and it's 16 with the grass covering everything and coming 3-4 foot off the bottom. Like it says it's only 16 and a half, 17 foot when you're over there. So yeah, I've definitely seen it push the fish around, and yeah, no, that's something to stay away from out there if you're bass fishing. I've never really caught them around it, and it doesn't really seem like the fish like to live in it. And yeah, the Canadian side has definitely changed a ton. I think the last year that it was really good is when that FLW tournament was there in 2017 when Grigsby won with like 97 pounds. Like
Mhm.
seems like ever since then it's kind of been slowly tapering downhill, and I really don't know why. I don't know if it's the grass growing over there. I also think that the lake level's changing, coming down and stuff like that. It makes the grass grow
Oh,
different just because the sunlight's hitting it and stuff like that. So I think that's another reason why there's so much of it over there. But yeah, I mean,
we've probably lost. So when I got the store in 2021, there's a little dock off to the side, like usually where I keep my boat, and that dock was completely underwater up to the second step. Now you can
mhm,
take a kayak under that same exact dock. So since
crazy.
2021, we've probably lost like 4 or 5 feet.
Hmm.
Um, and we did a segment with one of my buddies, Cody, and we talked a little bit about walleye fishing, especially this fall when it came to the weed growth. And it's the same thing, dude. We're losing water. So all those spots that you used to fish that might not necessarily have had weeds are growing weeds. Now, I think Joe touches on a good point with it being invasive. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, we're like, I do feel like we're starting to see that all over the place in Lake St. Clair. Some of it good, some of it bad, right?
Yep.
Like the Phragmites are another issue that like we're really running into is in especially I see it more on like the hunting side of things, but the overall health of the lake, like, dude, we lost all of our wild rice, we've lost all of our natural plants. Like if you ever go up into the flats, and the flats used to be incredible fishing. Like
Hmm.
when I first started guiding back in like 17, 18, those first few years, I would make a living on the flats. Like late in the summer,
Hmm.
those fish would come up, all the bait would be up there. They're eating all the natural forage that they're used to, and that all got choked out by frags. Um, I don't know as much about the story wart like you guys were saying, but it is really
Hmm.
interesting to hear that now because it's like all that invasive stuff is really, it takes a toll on our system.
It does for sure. And what's crazy is how fast that stuff grows. Like I'll go over, talking specifically about Canada because I haven't seen a lot of it on the U.S. side.
No.
Now I don't know if it could also be a current thing too because there's a lot more current that flows through the U.S. side with all those channels dumping out, especially on the north end up by the shipping channel and stuff like that. But Yeah, no, like I'll go over to Canada and fish in 17 foot of water one day and go back there 2 days later, and that stuff's just caped over. It's a foot off the bottom, and it's just got all the sand covered up. Like
And I
it's crazy
wonder
how
if it's
fast it goes.
I wonder if a little bit has to do with like water temperature too, because like typically the northern end of the lake is always a little bit cooler because it
Hmm.
does have that St. Clair River water coming. It's coming down from Huron. Um, Over on the Canadian side, especially when we're getting like a lot of west winds and stuff like that, sometimes that water can get stuck, I like to say, or like
Hmm.
stagnant. There's not as much of it. The other thing that I think is interesting to think about, and I would obviously have to do more research into it before I like really started to speak on it, is like how much that, and they've probably been doing it for a long time, but like how much the farmers on the Canadian side over by like Mitchell's Bay, how much they discharge into the water. Because like when we were fishing Madness, we were like pre-fishing for a big walleye tournament over there. And the water was perfect over there. The fishing was pretty good. And then it was after like a hard rain, those guys released their fields, because it basically drains into the lake. The water was mud, it was trashed. Obviously the wind and the water helps too, but I wonder if those like nutrients coming into the water, like I'm no scientist, but I do think it's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. I didn't really think about that in that way. So
Um,
that's definitely could play a factor in it too.
yeah. And Joe said, the shallow water, he does think affected the shallow flats, which 100%. He said
Hmm.
this year he got 80 degrees in July over in Canada. So
It's
it's like
crazy.
that's tough.
Yeah.
And that not only is that tough on the fish, but that is a breeding ground for all
Hmm.
of the algae and the bacteria and a lot of that
Yep.
stuff that you don't want.
Yep, for sure. We saw it happen in Erie this year. We had those 2 really hot
Oh,
weeks in June, and that water just skyrocketed into the 80s, and big fish kill off, losing all the oxygen and everything like that. And for the most part, the smallmouth didn't even make it out deep this summer on Erie, just because there wasn't any oxygen out deeper, so they had to
yeah.
stay shallow. So yeah, it was crazy how hot the water got this summer. Never seen it like that.
It was kind of a weird year in general, like really,
Hmm.
really from like late summer all the way through the fall. Like, I mean, I saw you guys got out there and cranked on some fish, dude. You guys had an epic day out there. But
Yeah.
like overall, it seemed like the fishing was a little weird. But what was that day? You guys caught 30. You
Yeah,
dropped a dirty 30 for sure. It was just over 30 pounds.
just over 30 pounds. Yeah, no, it was incredible. Caught, I don't even know how many fish, 100 plus fish, and it was so much fun. So it was nice to squeeze that in because this cold came on quick. I was a little ticked off. Literally got done with the tournament season. I was like, thank God we're going home. I got time to fish on the home lakes, and now we got ice 2 weeks later. So
Oh, dude, so I didn't
yeah.
make it over. I didn't make it to the south end of the lake like trolling.
Hmm.
I wanted to go down there and scope so bad, but again, it wasn't even like it was like that good. Like we used to go out there
Hmm.
and absolutely wail on fish, and like it
Hmm.
was pretty good, but like those numbers of fish didn't show up. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen this winter. If we get out
Hmm.
and do some fishing, I'm really interested to see what's going to happen next spring because I really hope it's not like foreshadowing.
For sure.
Roy's got a question here that if you
Yeah.
answer, I'm going to end the stream. Uh, but how often is it when you're smallmouth fishing? So Roy said, have you ever randomly found any great walleye spots on Erie or St. Clair on accident? How often is it when you're out there as much as you are that you stumble across these hotbeds of fish that you didn't, that not sheephead,
Hmm.
but the other like
Oh yeah,
walleyes?
there's a lot of them out there. I can give you guys a bunch of drum spots if you want to go catch them on Erie.
Right.
That's a fact.
But
uh,
how often is it that you'll like stumble into like a school of walleye? Like a story, I'll share a story when we were sitting there
mhm,
at the cookout, we were talking with Wesley and Jay, and we were talking about St. Lawrence, and they're like, dude, as good as the St. Lawrence River is, like, do you know how many 9 to 12 pound walleyes we've caught on drop shots? And that's in
mhm,
August when you guys are usually going there. And they're
yep,
like, it's absolutely incredible. And but they don't even really like they're bass fishing and they're fishing for
mhm,
money. Like this is what they do for a living. So they catch a 10-pound walleye on a drop shot and they're like, it is what it is. But like, does that
right.
happen often where you just like stumble into something crazy?
Yeah, I wouldn't say on St. Clair as much. You'll see like I'll stumble into some schools of like 20 or 30 of them and pick a couple of them off and keep them for dinner and stuff like that. Just solid eaters. But on Erie, definitely. Like I'll be live scoping around and stuff like that on Erie, and you just pan one direction. It's literally just a wall of fish, and cast a bait over there and catch a 4 to 8 pound walleye instantly, and you can
Are
just
they
sit there and
usually
wrench on 'em.
roaming or are they sitting on structure?
Usually, for the most part, they're roaming. They'll be like 5 foot off the bottom, and they'll be in just giant wolf packs. Like you'll see, sometimes might be 10 of them, but they're all giant ones. Or you'll see 100 of them just lined up, basically in almost a straight line. Like it's
Those are the
crazy to see
eaters.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. Those are like the 16 inchers. Like yeah, Hmm.
It's
So
so
yeah.
hard, dude, when we're like pre-fishing for big tournaments, especially like on St. Clair, and like
Hmm.
we're out there walleye fishing and scoping, and you come through a school of like 100 fish and you're like, don't cast at it. Like, you already know, I
Yeah.
already know what the answer is going to be. And I'm like looking at
Yeah.
live scope and I'm like, one cast, bam, like
Yeah.
throw out. And then
Yeah.
you catch an eater and you're like, all right, that's exactly what I said it was going to be. Time to keep
Yeah.
moving.
Exactly. Yeah. I will say the one thing that I kind of started got into a little bit this year on St. Clair that I'm going to more is I started keeping a glide bait on my deck. So when I'd see a muskie, I'd chase him down and try to catch him with a glide bait. But next year, I think
Oh,
I'm gonna get a full muskie setup and keep that out because they're so fun to catch.
dude, you obviously know our friend Kevin. We have a mutual
Yeah.
friend,
Oh yeah.
Kevin. He was out fishing for the open, that one open on St. Clair, and
Hmm.
me and my buddy Chase were going out towards it was like out towards the hump, but not quite. And
Hmm.
we're heading out there and we see Kevin's boat and we're like, what is Kevin doing? And we like scoot over there and he's just bombing musky baits. He's like, dude, they're on my live scope. And I'm like, what do you have that in the boat for? He's like, you got to break up the day somehow.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, dude. Every time I see one, I start casting at him.
Oh,
Like I was like,
100%.
I got to catch him. And I mean, I have him chase my smallmouth in all the time too. So when that happens, I usually try to catch him.
We got a question here. We want to know,
Oh, that's
is
my
Aaron's
mother.
current boat for sale?
It is for sale. If anybody's looking for a very good Phoenix in great condition, 2024 721, 440 hours on the motor, so she's got a lot of life left on her. Make sure you hit me up. She's for
Well,
sale.
let's talk. Well, all right, let's talk about this for a second, and then we're going to get to Joe's question because Joe's got a question on Anchor Bay. Joe, I
Hmm.
promise we're going to get to that. Um, the hours thing. Me and one
Hmm.
of my buddies were talking about this thing, the hours thing, and it's so funny how people get scared away. A lot of people get scared away because they see a lot of hours. Like if it's over,
Hmm.
I get customers that come in the store and like, oh, it's over 250 hours. Like, how many of
Hmm.
those hours do you think are under 2,000 RPMs, dude? Like, how many of those are scanning hours? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Out of the 450 hours I got on my boat, I'd probably say somewhere in the range of 300 of them
Yeah,
are all idle hours. Like, and
100%.
it might be more than that. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's probably
Well, luckily
somewhere in
with the
that.
new motors, you can actually like print out that report. But
Exactly.
100, you're 100% right. Like it's a fraction of that. So someone might hear
Mhm.
that and be like, whoa, 450 hours. Like, I'm telling you guys, I've seen the boat. It's super clean. So a shameless
Mhm.
plug on the program. If
Yep.
anyone's looking for a bass boat, hit Aaron up.
Yep.
You can get a hold of him on Facebook, or if you watch
Mhm.
this scrolly line, his Instagram will be there and you can reach out.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I always thought that was funny, the whole motors thing, because I was like, dude, give me a boat with some hours on the motor because I don't have
Right.
to worry about it blowing up.
Exactly. Yeah, especially with the four strokes too. I mean, as long as you take care of them, they can run for 2,000 hours without having any
Oh,
major issues.
I know I have a one of my buddies that's like in the like boat sales business says like one of the most lucrative things he can do is take a freshwater motor with like 500 hours on it and take it to a saltwater fishery, and the
Mhm.
saltwater guys jump on it like it's the deal of a lifetime. And like we're over
Oh,
here
yeah.
like looking at 400 hours,
Mhm.
and these guys will put like 1,500 to 2,000 in saltwater on it. So it's
Yep.
like, let the motors work, man.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
this is an interesting question. Anchor Bay has been a grind this year. Do you think it's the pressure?
Yes. 100%. There's no question in my mind.
So back to his first question and what we were talking about, how Canada has changed so much. When the first when not the first, but when that first Bassmaster Elite Series came to Brandenburg in
Mhm.
2023,
Yep.
yep, in 2023, I was cracking up watching the lives, dude. I said, why are all these people sitting in Anchor Bay when they could run to the
Mhm.
South Shore? And Joey Cifuentes did, and
Mhm.
he did really well.
Yep.
And it's changed a lot since then. But I couldn't believe, and obviously live scope helps because those fish in Anchor Bay have always been roamers. They're
Yes.
always roamers. They're not
Mhm.
they're not on structure. They're constantly hunting.
Mhm.
Um, do you like, is it solely the pressure? Because we had a Bassmaster Elite Series, we had a Bassmaster Open with a full field at 225, and then we had another Bassmaster Elite Series 3 years in a row. So this year, it's going to get a little bit of a break besides for all the people that are coming up to do it. But now, and we're not getting into it for you guys that are listening, we're not getting into it, but there's so many local clubs that come up here and fish these tournaments for smallmouth and just pound on them, dude. We're not getting
Yeah.
into it. I want to, we're not. There's so many clubs that come up
Yeah.
here and pound on these smallmouth. Like, I think one,
Mhm.
it's pressure, and I think two, I don't think a lot of the fish survived, unfortunately.
Yeah, I will say something on that real quick. I'd like to see something in place a little bit better for these boat ramps that we have. For whether even if it's a local tournament or whatnot, like, I don't. The people hosting the tournaments need to take action and take those fish out from the canals, because I mean, no matter what boat ramp you're going to, it's not 100% access to the lake, and those fish are getting released in 10-degree warmer water in those canals, and a lot of those fish die, and just a lot of fish care things with guys not knowing how to fizz fish and stuff like that. And that's a big reason why those fish die. And you see, tournament go out of Selfridge, and they'll just be 100 smallmouth floating inside the seawall and right up against it right outside. So I'd like to see that change, and somebody take initiative, and or the tournaments take initiative, and do a better job of that.
Yeah.
But going to the Anchor Bay thing, no, I think 100% it's pressure. I mean, the biggest reason, in my opinion, why it kind of got blown, wouldn't say what's a better way to put it. The reason why I got so exposed is because of that 2023 Elite Series tournament went out of Bradenburg, and that was the first time that a tournament's actually gone out of Anchor Bay. It's always been out of Metro, so those guys have to turn left out of there to run up there versus just going to the lake. Now, a lot of those guys were probably
And it's half to drive across.
It is, yep. And so, a lot of those guys are launching at the tournament ramp, and they go in there, and they're like, I'm a half mile from the ramp, and I catch 20 to 24 pounds. Why the heck would I run out to the lake? So I think that was one of the major reasons why that started, and transitioned to the open, and same thing. Those guys cracked them in there. We went out of Harley, and it's right there. So, but yeah, no, I think that the pressure is really getting to those fish, and they're not gone. They're still there. Like, you can still go in there and win a tournament out of there, obviously. But yeah, I really just think it's pressure, and I honestly think it helps with those lake fish. It takes all that tournament pressure off of it, and a lot of guys are just fishing in Anchor Bay now. So,
I think we're going to see that change. Like, I'm a firm believer in a lot of things are cyclical, and I think we're going to see that change, right? Like, if a tournament comes back, and like Joe said, if the fishing's a grind in Anchor Bay, these guys are hammers, dude. They're going to find them. And then all of a sudden, that's going to be the hot spot for 2 to 3 years, and then it's going to move them, and it's going to constantly keep moving. There's just so much. The other interesting thing about Anchor Bay is, opposed to Canada, is how much boat traffic that Anchor Bay sees. Like,
it's incredible,
brother. For the Bassmaster series to come up here on raft off,
dude,
is suicide.
That was insane. Yeah,
but it was killing me, dude, because they were just taking it out there. And I'm like, man, if you went over to Canada, which it wasn't as good at fishing, so it wasn't worth it. But if you go over there, there's not nearly as much pressure on these guys.
Yep,
but
for sure. Yeah, I will say you'll never see, in a tournament scenario, you'll never see my boat inside of Anchor Bay. I won't do it. I won't deal with it, because you get about 2 hours of good fishing before all those boats are flying around. I'll go out there and fun fish, but tournament-wise, I will not spend a day practicing or in the tournament in Anchor Bay. So that's my opinion on it.
Let's talk about a little something that's near and dear to my heart, because I've been preaching it now for like 2 to 3 years, and I'm just that stupid walleye guy with the bait shop on the river, so I'm biased. Bro, how good is the St. Clair River for smallmouth fishing?
Yeah, it's incredible. I don't spend a ton of time up there, but yeah, it's incredible.
I know. And now it's like, well, we could go fish up there, but we got to be real careful with the rules, because Bassmaster's super strict on all the rules and information and stuff. I mean, as long as it's not tournament related, obviously.
Yeah.
But anytime like leading into that, you just got to be real cautious.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
But yeah, so let me see. Yeah, have an Anchor Bay to yourself. Joe's like back in the day. The fishing pressure nowadays is just like incredible. It's incredible how many people are out there fishing. Guys out in the chat, if you've got any other questions, we're kind of reaching that hour mark here. I don't want to take up all of Aaron's time tonight. So if you got any questions, please let them rip real quick. So what was the celebration like, bro? Like, when let me ask this question first. When did you know? Did you know while you were out on the water, like, I got enough? Like, were you doing the math before that day to go, like, I need to be here to get in? Because, I mean, you ended up finishing third in points. Like, you were fine. But what was that last day on Okachobee like?
Yeah, so I'll go back a little bit and go to, like, after weigh-in on day one. I mean, Matt Messer and he was in first place in points going into it, and I was in second. And him and I are buddies. So we weighed in at the same time, and I got back to the boat ramp after day one, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and we both were just thinking, there's no way we both did this before we even said a word. And he's like, what you got? And I was like, told him, and he told me, and he's like, I can't believe we both just did this. And so we talked about it a little bit after we weighed in. I was sick to my stomach that night, and then I told myself on the drive home, I said, as soon as I turn this truck off, when I get back to the house, like, it's over. Like it happened. Like we got to figure out how to catch them tomorrow. Like forget about it. So I went into day 2. Day 1 I was feeling. I usually don't feel pressure when I fish, and I was on day 1. And so day 2, man, I just let it all go, and I just went bass fishing. I went and had fun and did what I love, and didn't think about it. And my last cast on day 2, I caught a 4.5 pounder that called out of 1.5. So, and that's kind of when I had a good idea. And then I had a 45-mile run back to the boat ramp. So I was just praying that I made it back and got through the lock and was back on time. So yeah, it was incredible. And yeah, the celebration was awesome. They brought the champagne in, and then there's the Scott or the Roland Martin Marina's got a bar right there on the water. So we all just went over to the tiki bar and got after it that night. And yeah, so it was good. It was awesome.
That poor Fisher, bro, 19 years old. I'm sure he didn't have any fun.
No, dipping on his grape juice.
But yeah, dude, I heard they gave him grape juice. That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. But all right, let me see. Yeah, Joe, 100% right. He said the key in the river is freighters passing by. I think on the piggyback on that, Joe, I think it's a big current thing. There's days where that south wind blows because I just go right out of the shop. For those of you that don't know where Hook One is, I mean, we're right in Marine City. We're right next to the Stone Yard, right next to the launch, right across from Fawn Island. So I can jump in my boat and be like fishing really good smallmouth within probably like 45 seconds, to like 2 minutes. I can get to like some really good spots. And 100%, it's like current. Like if that current's not moving, if a south wind picks up, I've watched that bite go from hero to zero when a south wind picks up and slows that current down. Freighters are always good, pushing and pulling all that water, but anything to kind of move that water is really good. And for those of you that are listening, Aaron doesn't have to give up his tips and hot baits about it, but like drop shots and tubes, absolutely slaughter in the river. Use the current to your advantage, especially if you're not super comfortable with bass fishing. Just drift. Just let the current push you and drag a tube or drag a drop shot. And don't be afraid of fishing deep water. But this comes back to kind of what you were saying earlier, Aaron, with taking care of your fish. If you are going to fish deeper water, guys, please understand how to take care of those fish. Understand how to release them and put them back, because it's like there's only so many 5-6 pound smallies out there, and we really want to take care of them, and they love the river. Mm-hmm. Whether it's St. Clair or Detroit, I will say that. There's some giants in Detroit as well.
There are. Yeah, Detroit fished really well this year. Caught a lot of big bass out of there this year.
Yeah, it did. All right, man. We're getting up to our hour. You probably got to go work some more deals and work some more stuff, because you are not done yet, man. You are just getting started. Are you going to be at the fishing show in Novi?
I will be. Yep.
You be at Whitewater?
Yeah. Yep. Sweet. Be there hanging out. Yeah.
Shameless plug, even though this is a Facebook Live, this is also going to be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you podcast. And one of our best sponsors of the podcast is our friends at Whitewater. Highly recommend checking them out, especially in that cold weather. You guys have been seeing my breath all day. Not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I will say too.
What's that?
Let me add to this. I will tell you, the best cold water fishing gear is the Great Lakes Pro insulated suit. That I got my hands on that this fall, and that was a game changer. So for all of us guys that love fishing up here in the cold, it's basically like a snowsuit. It's insulated, cuts the wind, it's waterproof, and it is incredible for fishing in cold weather.
Talking about this bad boy right here.
Yep.
I'm just starting to heat up.
Awesome. That thing is awesome. Dude,
it's incredible. We did a really cool episode on our podcast with Aaron, one of the head honchos up there. And he actually released some of it on our podcast, which I thought was really cool for him to do, because it's like, to me, I just feel like we're a bunch of nobodies. But it was really cool, and I was super excited to get it. And it's unbelievable how like comfortable it is, how waterproof and windproof it is. And they're based in Michigan. So shout out to them. Aaron, I'm going to help you give a free plug to them, guys. Dude, thank you so much for joining the show again. And I'm sure we'll get you on again after maybe one of your Elite Series events, or after you get a blue trophy.
Yep. Definitely.
But yeah, dude. So last thing I want to get out there, I really appreciate your opinion and your thoughts here on this. And you've given it to me before, but what is the information or the advice that you would give like a young guy or a young kid that's coming up in this industry that wants to do it?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest thing that I always say, and that most people hear is time on the water is everything. But that's a pretty basic answer. So I think just Not only that, but just being a sponge and learning as much as you possibly can and trying new things, fishing new lakes, putting yourself in situations that, will help you in the future when you go to tournaments is the biggest thing, and not constantly doing the same thing over and over. So time on the water and learning as much as you possibly can from the people around you and using all your resources you got to become the best angler that you can. And no matter whether you're on the Elite Series or you're fishing BFLs, in the fishing world, you never stop learning. Like you got to constantly be on top of everything and constantly learning and trying new stuff out to get that competitive edge over everybody. So yeah.
As soon as you think you've got it figured out, you might as well be done. Like
Yep.
it's that's the best thing about this sport. That like I've got a little one now. I've got a 17-month-old boy, and like by the time he gets up and he's fishing with me, he'll be teaching me stuff because it's just
Mhm.
it's an incredible thing. I've learned so much in the bait shop from people that don't even fish like we do. You know, they might only get
Mhm.
out a couple times, but like just listening to them and the techniques they use and the colors they use, you know, they'll say some things and I'm like, no, that doesn't work. And then they show me their phone. They're like, well, look at this. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
an idiot. It works.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you can learn something from everybody. But
Yep.
dude, I love that advice. I appreciate you coming on the show. We're all going to be rooting for you. You'll probably be on all of our fantasy teams. And guys, we'll see him for our followers. You'll see him at the show. We'll be back again
Mhm.
next week on Facebook Live. This will be up on Monday morning. Again, it'll be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Pocket Cast, Stitcher, anywhere you get your information. This will be back up if you want to rewatch it. If you want to share it, that'd be awesome. Like, subscribe, because we're going to continue to try and grow this thing. Maybe one day we'll be on the side of Aaron's boat.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, I appreciate it very much. Aaron, tell these guys, see you later, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Appreciate you having me on.